Cincinnati's ready for the Big 12. It was time for them.
I am fired up.
It's a blessing to be able to be in this league with y'all, putting on for UC.
Cincinnati, a basketball school.
And there he goes. Touchdown! Bearcats!
Raquama again. Another slam inside.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the GoBeercats podcast, part of the Cats Keller Social Club and member of the College Huddle community. I'm Brandon. That's Darin. And if you're watching on YouTube here, you can see that we have two very special guests right off the jump here. We have Brandon and Jose from the Two Plains Sports Podcast. Gentlemen, you are the fan affiliate, I guess, in the College Huddle for Oklahoma. This is our first collab inside of the College Huddle community. So welcome into the GoBeercats podcast.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, we're excited to be here. That was a pretty cool intro you guys have there. I enjoyed that.
Appreciate that. That only took me about 3 weeks to figure out how to do. So appreciate when guests have come on and comment on that. Appreciate that. There's a new one coming for season 5 as soon as I can reteach myself how to do that again. But we'll get there. Gentlemen, we're here to talk baseball, something that we've all kind of said that we are trying out really for the first time here this season, really diving into, if you will. And as the season, not only in Big 12 play, but the season in general winds down this week, as I believe both teams, Oklahoma and Cincinnati, only have 4 games left, 3 of them being against each other. It is maybe one of the biggest series for Bearcats baseball in quite some time. And with Oklahoma having a 3.5 game lead while in first place, they have to be feeling pretty confident here coming into the last home stretch of the season. Yeah,
I mean, I think the team's pretty hot at the moment. They're 15-3 in their last 18, winners of their last 6, just coming off a sweep of Baylor. The Big 12 is locked up for us, the Big 12 regular season, that is. So, a lot of good baseball right now in Norman.
Yeah, I mean, being hot, in baseball, it seems like what's really important when it comes down to, getting into tournament play. But, before we get too into that, you guys mentioned briefly that you're trying baseball, really trying to get into that, how long have you really tried to follow, your team and really, I guess, the broader college sport?
Yeah, so I mean, for me at least, we've been spoiled with a really, really good softball team that they've been getting the job done the last couple of years, last 3 years. 3 national championships. Baseball team made a run there in 2021 to the final. That was all fun to watch. Didn't go well for us against Ole Miss, but they made it, so that was cool. I think right around that first run that OU baseball made kind of got us all more invested.
Absolutely,
yeah, about the same.
Definitely want to jump into that, and I would love to hear a little bit more about softball as well. Something that we don't have here, but looks like people really get into in this conference. But gentlemen, this is the Go Beercats podcast. So before we get too far into everything, I know I did remember to invite you to share a beer with us. So what are we sipping on here this evening?
Want to go first, Oz?
I had a lot of beer this weekend, so I'm switching it up to a Fresca mixed. It's like a vodka drink. Pretty good. This is the first one I've had. My wife had like 12 of them for the last 3 weeks just sitting in the fridge, so figured I'd crack one open.
And I am just going with a good old-fashioned Miller Lite. It's my beer choice.
I mean, those vodka mixes are always great. I had a few sitting around that my wife hadn't finished, so I know that feeling. But I'm, just keeping it clean today. Poppy, everybody's favorite new pre-box soda. So that's what I got today.
Always rely on Darin to throw a healthy drink or a healthy drink in here every once in a while. Gentlemen, I'm a little bit more ambitious here. I stopped at our sponsor of the show, the Deadhead liquor store today, and picked out a beer especially for the podcast here. And I looked at the can and I thought it said Norman. So Norman, I thought Norman, Oklahoma. That's perfect. That's what we're talking about this episode. I took about a half a second to look at the can. The can really says Normal, Illinois. So I'm nowhere close to Oklahoma. It is the Deadhead IPA, though. And although it is not from Oklahoma like I wanted, it is drinking pretty nice here this evening. So cheers all around, gentlemen.
Sir.
Cheers.
Cheers.
As Darin sort of got us kicked off here, and you had thrown some Brandon thrown some stuff our way here. Winner of 6 straight. When I was looking at sort of like the one-off game that you guys have, we have UConn this week, which is I guess sitting atop the Big East standings. You two also play a Big East team this week in Xavier, and I would just like to apologize for any time that your team has to spend there. It's always Norwood is a brutal place, and no one really likes going there, even the people that go to Xavier. So don't judge Cincinnati by what happens there in any way, shape, or form.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know much about it, but we did look at their last few games, and they did not have a good outing against Georgetown. So hopefully they keep that losing streak alive.
If it's one thing Xavier likes, it's losing streaks. I'm pretty positive of that. One thing I kind of want to ask you guys about here before we jump into Oklahoma baseball, just what is your sense of the Big 12 conference as a baseball conference? I know you guys are on your way out, and you're like we were on our way out of the American. You guys were probably excited about that for the what lies ahead. But just for the time that you've spent in the Big 12 as a baseball conference, what's your impression of it?
I mean, I think the Big 12 baseball is always tough. You've got Oklahoma State's always right up there. Texas Tech is usually a pretty darn tough school. Texas has been good. I mean, they're obviously on the way out as well with us. But the Big 12 is always pretty competitive in baseball. I think every year, mainly Texas Tech, Oklahoma State, Baylor. A lot of quality baseball here in the Big 12.
Yeah, I think it can definitely compare to the SEC when it comes to baseball. At least the top teams. I guess the SEC just has more depth when you look at the conference and how good those teams are, especially when it comes to games that matter. They seem to be in those a little bit more often.
Yeah, I mean, they always say a rising tide lifts all ships. Obviously, you mentioned that you have a great softball program. A lot of times they buddy those hand in hand. So baseball too. That I think that's really elevated the conference, because a lot of times when you just kind of passively turn on TV, you see the Oklahomas and the Texas, sometimes Texas Techs, Texas, usually in World Series tournament play, or just being featured on ESPN Prime. But obviously you guys are excited to move for football to the SEC, but I would probably peg them as the top softball and baseball conference. What are your thoughts on that?
The SEC as the top conference?
I mean, I'm not going to argue there. I mean, I'm okay with that. I mean, I think a team that we're not really talking about that's been pretty good usually is TCU. They're always pretty darn competitive in baseball. There's in softball, we've got obviously Oklahoma's been running that conference, but Texas was in the national championship with us last year. Oklahoma State's a team that usually makes it pretty deep in Oklahoma City. There's a lot of quality diamond sports going on.
I love that. Yeah. I mean, obviously Vanderbilt kind of lifts their GPA and their conference in that as far as that tide goes. But yeah, I think that's going to it sounds like the Big 12 is going to prepare you guys well to make that transition and hopefully, run the conference,
I mean, that'd be nice.
I think
do that in all sports.
Not only baseball, but basketball is I think in the Big 12 is, I think by far that is the toughest conference is Big 12 basketball. So that's, I mean, we're not talking basketball, but that's just a little tidbit there, I guess.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, I know I had fun in the Big 12 basketball conference this year. We didn't, end where we wanted to, or maybe, finish where we wanted to, but it was a hell of a lot of fun all the way around. So, and it's kind of been the same way for baseball here. Darin and I, we've talked about our women's basketball team. First year in the Big 12, first year under a new head coach. Very similar to the baseball team, and how expectations were probably similar as well. And both of those teams, in our eyes, have sort of outperformed expectations this year. I think UC sits number 5 in the conference right now. I know we were tied for 4th, but I think as it sits now, tied we're solidly in 5th, 51st in the RPI. And I guess like the baseball mecca, the baseball Jesus himself, Kendall Rogers of D1 Baseball, he has the Bearcats in the big tournament right now, as of right now, saying that if the Cats could get a series win over Oklahoma, we would pretty much be a lock no matter what happens going forward throughout like the Big 12 conference or something like that. However, that's much easier said than done. You guys can correct me if I'm wrong here, but it looks like Oklahoma has scored 7 over the course of their 6 wins here. You said that they were on a 6-win win streak here. They scored 70 runs in those 6 wins. Holy hell!
Yeah, they put up 19. Yeah, we like to score and also give up a lot of runs, but they scored 19 in one of the wins over Baylor. I think they may have scored 19 twice. They had an inside the park home run. Yeah, they're a lot of fun on offense, at least. Like Jose said, sometimes that pitching and the defense behind our pitchers is not always great.
Yeah, I mean that kind of seems that's like the real catch with college baseball. Feels like once that you run into a pitcher that you like to hit off of, that seems where a lot of those leads come from. And then you need someone to come out of the bullpen, rescue him, maybe save the inning. So it sounds like your batters really know how to pick them out.
Oh yeah, there's a Spikerman. He's on a streak right now. You think he's hitting like .63, last 4, 12 RBIs. He's on a heater. If he can keep that going, I think we definitely win a couple more to end the regular season here.
Yeah, I'd like to think. I mean, obviously, as Brandon alluded to, with Kendall Rogers saying that we need to take the series. Personally, my hope, at least as far as goals, take a win somewhere in that series and keep it close and not get blown out somehow. Because how we've faced ranked teams so far this season really sample size is really small, but didn't start out well. When it came to Coastal Carolina, I think it's really going to depend, especially for a guy with, 0.6, what kind of pitching comes up against. Because we have a very, very young bullpen, anchored by a senior in Seth Loge. But outside of that, we got a lot of true freshmen and true sophomores in that rotation. They're talented, but, as young players, they're still susceptible to those moments. So I think that's really what's going to come down to this week.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think you guys will be able to score it. I think I was looking at the stats earlier. I think these two teams are very aggressive, and I think that leads to them scoring a lot of runs. I think Cincinnati, when I looked it up, has like 100 stolen bases on the year. We're right behind y'all with like 85. So both teams are pretty damn aggressive on the base pads there. They're going to take some chances, and I think that's what. For a team like Cincinnati, you guys are a fringe playoff team or a fringe tournament team right now, depending on who you look at or whatever. And Oklahoma's playing to potentially host a regional here. I think this series is big for both schools. If we can go get it done, win 2 out of 3, I think we're going to be guaranteed to host a regional. If you guys can take the series, I think you're guaranteed in. We've kind of talked about that too before we start recording. So I think it's gonna be a really fun series.
Is part of your guys' success here, 18-11 at home doesn't. I mean, that's better. I mean, better to win more than you lose. But your away record is 12-4, which is like kind of unheard of, like in any sport, let alone baseball. So, can you guys speak to that at all? What has been the success or what's traveled well for this team this year?
The bats and the bats and the aggression on the pads and just doing just hitting. They're doing hit and runs, or they're bunting guys over. They're aggressive on the pads. They're doing what they got to do to score runs. and the pitching does just enough to not give up 10. And then that's kind of been the success. They dropped 2 out of 3 to Oklahoma State and Stillwater. So half of the losses come to one team of those road losses. But, they have done well. They went and beat Tennessee, who's, a top 10 team in the country. That was not in Tennessee, but it was in Arlington. I think they count that as one of the road wins. I believe we were the road team in that game. But, they've performed.
They don't get aggressive, but they're not trying to just power swing everything and try to get it over the fence. If anything, they actually don't hit very many home runs. They're just really consistent at getting on base and getting their guys back in.
I think they picked up a sweep over TCU in Fort Worth, and then they had a sweep over BYU in Provo. So there's right. I mean, that's half your road wins too. But I mean, they have 6 sweeps in the conference, which is pretty darn impressive for us.
Yeah, looking at that, you guys swept Texas, so beat the rivals there, Texas Tech, Baylor. I mean, even though they're, a state over, I'd consider them, at least there's some rivalry there with those other teams as well. How does it feel to have that kind of success over, teams that you're familiar with and are gunning for you?
I think the Texas Tech sweep is really sweet. That's a team we've struggled with sometimes in the past. Baylor, they're usually tough. Sweeping them is always fun. I think we both don't like Texas Tech or Baylor. BYU, we don't have really any sort of hate or anything for. They're brand new to the conference. We kind of had a good run against them. We beat them in basketball, football, and swept them in baseball here. But yeah, it's been fun. With Texas, I think we did go 1-2 in that.
Okay.
The biggest takeaway I have is that we're leaving the conference on a high, being at least regular season Big 12 champions. So feels nice to be exiting at the highest, as a number 1, which is, I don't know. I think Brett Yormark got a little bit ahead of himself with how confident he was and how the powerhouses of this conference, but it'll be interesting to see how it shakes up over the next few years and who takes over as like the team of the conference. I think Cincinnati can definitely do that. They've got the chance. Cincinnati, Kansas State, I think are the 2 schools I would see as ones that can contend for that title.
That's another one of those road sweeps is Kansas State for us. We went down to Manhattan and swept them. But have you guys made any trips so far? Being a part of the Big 12, your first year in the Big 12, any sports?
Brendan, have you gone? I haven't. Okay. Yeah, I was. Well, it's funny because that's what I was going to transition into. At least for ballparks, is there one that you would recommend?
I've not traveled for baseball personally, but our baseball park's pretty cool.
I think the one in Norman's pretty fun. I've been to the one in Oklahoma State. They care a lot. I think it's a fun environment because they show up for their baseball team there. Texas always looks good. Kansas State, I think, would be another fun one, in TCU.
Yeah, Oklahoma State, based on earlier this season before we started, I definitely looked at, just general ballparks, and Oklahoma State definitely popped out. They seem to really care. I mean, they've even been featured. They have like a multi-billion facility almost. So, yeah, they definitely care about that.
I hope you guys beat their ass in every event. I think the way you talked about Xavier is how we feel here about Oklahoma State. I think, I'm for me personally, and I don't want to put words in Jose's mouth here, but my level of hatred for Oklahoma State is way higher than that for Texas.
Yes. But I will say this. If you're looking to go have a cool experience at an away stadium, I think whatever major sport you pick, Oklahoma State will probably be right there because their fans do show up no matter how bad they are, and they're bad pretty often.
And you'll walk out with a win. It'll be a great night. Yeah, it's always good to go there. I went to. Sorry, going off a little tangent here. Just talking about Oklahoma State gets me going, but we went to the last Bedlam basketball game in Stillwater. We won on a buzzer beater there. It was really awesome. But half the people I saw in the crowd had shirts made, and they were like, because the Bedlam football record is awful. It favors Oklahoma by it's like 90. It's bad. It's bad. But we always talk about the history because we dominate that series, but the shirts they had made is like the history doesn't matter. The only thing that matters is the last one. And I was like, it's such an Oklahoma State thing to do, to have that. And it's, God, I hate them.
The last one mattered.
Yeah.
I love it. I love the hatred. I love it. Just, as far as stadiums, I mean, we just came off of series against out in BYU and Provo, and that the pictures that were coming back from that with the mountains in the backdrop, I would love to go out there and check that out. I think the football stadium's pretty close to the same background, so just for like vibes and backdrops, that would probably be up there. But no, I would love to get out. I mean, football or basketball would probably take precedent over baseball for right now, but yeah, there's some places I definitely want to check out. I think the last away game I've been to was a short drive to Indiana in, what was that, 2021?
Yeah, the season basically for us.
Season,
yeah.
I couldn't make the Notre Dame trip, but I got to go to Bloomington. That was the last one. But good. I mean, good stuff all around there. Yeah.
Yeah, he went to BYU this year for football. I'm sure that was pretty cool.
Yeah, the stadium, it's just really cool. That I don't think there's very many universities that have that kind of landscape anywhere near them. Yeah, and the people were really nice. Like
did you have one of those like hot dog or
get cussed out?
Those donut things? What do they call them?
Yeah, the cougar tail. They are tasty. They are way too big. You do need to be prepared. I will say this, given that this is the Bearcats podcast, you're not going to be able to get drunk before that game.
Soda bars, right?
Pretty dry.
Yeah. I have no idea. Honestly, we didn't even look. I went with family, so I wasn't trying to. And it was like a 10 a.m. game, so it was tough to do that. But I went in to the stadium. It was pretty cold, not freezing. But I was thinking, I'm gonna get some coffee. When I'm in the stadium, I saw a line. There was warm drinks, and then I got up to the front, hot chocolate. I was like, man. I mean, I guess I do, but I really wanted to wake up.
I thought you were going to say, hot chocolate's better than what I would expect. I thought you were going to say like warm water or something. So
no, I think I would have taken the warm water. Honestly, I wasn't feeling the hot chocolate, but the cougar tail's delicious.
It's like a maple donut, right? Like
yeah. It's like 2 feet long. I don't know, it's pretty big.
That sounds so great and terrible at the same time.
Not good for your health, but boy, is it tasty.
Well, one more bonus question for you guys, totally baseball related before you guys get out of here. Who is excited for NCAA football 25?
Oh my gosh, yeah, absolutely. We've been talking about that for months now because it's usually 3 of us on our show. One of our last guy's got some family stuff going on. He's handling that right now, but we talk about it all the time because we can't wait to play it. But the problem that we run into, and you guys are probably going to run into it as well, is who gets to play with Oklahoma? Who gets to play with Cincinnati?
We already called Oklahoma off. It's off limits. We can't beat our own school.
I respect that. Well, it's the way to go is you make your own dynasty for your own school, and then use a crappy team to really build out the community dynasty and go from there. So.
Oh yeah, we've already put in a group text with some friends. We've already, called dibs on the schools we want to go to for each conference. And it's Oklahoma was the only one we couldn't pick. So we're ready.
Yeah. Well, more of that coming out Thursday. So yeah.
I'm still playing NCAA 13 on my Xbox 360. Somehow it's still kicking, and I mean, I'm a teacher, and in the summertime, time to fire up the 360 and see if I can win another national championship. So
absolutely.
Upgrade soon enough here, I guess. Gentlemen, before we let you go, good stuff here on Oklahoma baseball. Do you have any other questions for us or anything that we could help enlighten you about Cincinnati or UC before you guys hop over to the SEC next year?
That was just exactly my question. We've came on a couple other shows right now. We did a Georgia one and a Missouri one, and they asked us, how we feel about moving into the SEC. So I'm just going to ask you guys the same thing. You've got a year down in the Big 12 now in football, basketball, baseball's, winding down here. We got the postseason coming up, but how do you guys feel that you guys did in year one? And how do you feel about the future?
Darin, I'll yield to you first.
Yeah, I'll probably speak for a lot of people, at least from the basketball perspective. Even though we didn't finish and get to where we wanted to, fun. It had been a while since we had fun as fans of the sport, competition wise. Basically when the Big East went out on a fizzle, that kind of went with it. As kind of the football guy on the podcast, a little bit more rough on that end. I'm still, optimistic at least. A lot changed. You're getting deep into the NIL era. You lose your best coach thus far, and then you're also transitioning into a new conference, as well as graduating most of your talent, from those teams. So there's a lot working against them. So you hope things are trending up, that you feel like they are. And so I'm just excited to have the competition. We made the comments about Yormark. I think his approach at this point now is quality over quantity, but quality turning into quantity over quality, and quantity turning into quality eventually. So I think that's what he hopes to get out of this, and that's kind of what I hope to happens. As our two biggest brands leave at this point.
Yeah, I think fun is a really good word that Darin used. I would probably echo that. That if I had to choose one word for year one, even though football we got dog walked more often than not, we still had some fun games inside Nippert Stadium, and it was fun just to see or interact with fans that one traveled, and then two filled or closely filled their allotment to Nippert Stadium. For the first time in years. That was fun to see people actually caring and coming out to football games, especially. Basketball was top notch. I don't have a countdown yet, but I will soon start counting down to the first basketball games here in the Big 12 again, and to sort of go off the smaller sports or sports that usually don't get as much love as football and basketball. It's been fun to see those kind of rise up as well. We had one guy tie for the Big 12 championship in golf this year. Women's basketball is ahead of schedule. The baseball team is doing well here at the end of the season. So we've seen some other programs rise up here, and hopefully can continue some success long term in the new conference.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. I think we're both pulling for you guys here. We've kind of always liked Cincinnati a little bit. We didn't like you guys
I
this
was
year.
a Bearcat way before Brandon was. I thought you guys got screwed the year that you didn't make the playoffs.
Oh yeah, he did. I was arguing against you guys, unfortunately, but yeah.
You mean when they had a 4-loss Iowa State ranked ahead of us? Don't get me started. We'll be here an hour.
Terrible Florida team that year too, I think. And
was that the year? Was that the Cal Pitts year? Or was that the year after?
Yeah, Kyle. Yeah, he was there. I think so. Yeah.
That Florida team was bad.
Did you guys go to the Cincinnati OU game this year?
Yeah. They were the fans were.
It looked like I want to say that was our first road Big 12 game for us.
Yeah.
And it looked like a pretty cool environment there. It looked like it was pretty sold out. Fans showed up. It was pretty cool.
Yeah, I mean, to harass Dylan Gabriel again, former UCF Knight, UC fans weren't going to pass that up at all. So,
yeah. The fans were pretty classy for the most part. And then there's always that younger fan, that kid that's just yapping off the mouth a little bit. But no, and overall the OU fans are pretty classy. They were excited to be there. I think also just get that experience. To come to a place that you know the name of and don't know why you know the name of, but here you are. Plus, it's called historic Nippert Stadium. It's the second oldest, third oldest D1, stadium still standing. So, there's that. Guys are a pleasure to host. So.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. I know that.
Last baseball thing here, gentlemen. The Cincinnati Reds have dominated this town for a long time. Some say Cincinnati is a baseball town with a drinking problem. The Reds are out in L.A. this weekend, and it is going to be a nice 78 to 80 degrees here in Cincinnati. The baseball stadium, I think, holds just over like 3,000, somewhere in that neighborhood. I would expect the fans to show up for a big series this weekend. As you know, big series, big turnout. I would say as well.
Yeah,
So,
it's
should be a
gonna
fun
be
series.
fun. Good luck to you guys. Hopefully some competitive games.
Definitely. Well, gentlemen, good luck down the road. Good luck in the SEC next year, for sure. So, sure, maybe our paths will cross here again, and we'll collaborate one way or another again.
Anytime.
Yes.
Thanks for having me. It was awesome.
See you, gentlemen.
See ya.
Good stuff there, Darin.
Great stuff. What a treat. I always like hearing from the fans of other teams.
Yeah, like-minded people like us that are, just as dedicated to their university and schools as we are. What else do we have to hit here? We got Oklahoma series covered. We got UConn tomorrow, I think.
Yeah, it's gonna be a tough game, honestly, too. UConn's no slouch. Top of the Big East. We struggled a little bit with Xavier this year. Now you'd argue whether or not we're the same team by the time we get through those games, but still, you're looking for I won't say a statement win, but at least a resume builder. You want to beat teams that are ranked ahead of you in RPI. So there's that. Definitely.
They sit 29 and 21 right now.
Yeah.
Overall.
Yeah. So
RPI ranking 42. So solid, 9 spots ahead of us? I think we're 51 right now.
Yeah. So you want to knock off teams like that. In theory, you match up well with them. So
was that Sunday that we were like you and I and someone else was going going back and forth in the Discord watching the BYU game?
Yeah, I believe so. Saturday. It was Saturday because
I had it on at the bar. I turned on, logged into ESPN Plus, and like we were. I mean, it was fun to watch just to see if like they kind of BYU kind of pulled in close there, and then they didn't.
Yeah,
it was close, and then it wasn't in favor of our Bearcats. So that was just fun to see some teams winning baseball games right now, because the Reds have not. They've hit the May slump here, so the Bearcats are the most exciting ticket in town, I'll say.
Yeah, well, yeah, no, for sure. I mean, I've had season tickets for 2 years now for baseball. Just mainly because I don't want to say stick it to the Reds, but the Reds made me upset enough last year that I'm like, I'd rather go see some baseball that I enjoy. I can't. You obviously want to win, but it's not about ownership at that point. It's about people building a good ball club and want to play hard for the university at that point. So, but no, looking back even past BYU, we didn't get to touch on it because we didn't have a show last week. But West Virginia 2-1 in that series to win it. Big series win. Because they're ranked 3rd right now, and they were looking like one of the tougher opponents just in general for the rankings. So to take that at home and be solid at home too. That's the other thing. Has been amazing. What I'm also realizing is Xavier is 27 in RPI right now. So fun fact. Yeah, that's
interesting.
Yeah, they've played us really well this year. So that kind of tracks a little bit. Because other game got canceled. So I think we split 1-1 with them. Or no, we split 2 and they won 2. So Oklahoma's got a nice little warm-up game against them. They could still give them trouble if they're not careful.
Yeah, that's for sure.
So they weren't a bad team. Because that's how I put that in perspective. I was like, well, we struggled against them. But we're clearly a better team than what we expected. But that probably means Xavier's a little bit better than expected too at that point. Just based on the sample size. But looking at the RPI, West Virginia is 40. Wow, they're only 41. Wow, that's crazy to be competing. So they're 41 right now. So
no, I'm sorry. Keep going. I'm just thinking out loud. I'm sorry.
Yeah, West Virginia is at 41, which shocks me. I actually didn't know they were that far down with how good they've done in the conference this year. So that's surprising. Maybe we helped lower that a little bit, though. Might be the real portion of that. So, the Big 12 the Big East actually isn't too bad of a basketball or a baseball conference, really. They got some
just
teams up there.
To go back to the BYU and what the guys from Two Plains was saying, how aggressive UC is on the bases, stealing bases and stuff. Number 22 for the Bearcats, Josh is a Hegman. That dude has some wheels around the bases.
Yeah, no, he's only been. I think he's only failed like 4 times.
Like jizzle fast.
Yeah,
around the bases. I was impressed. I was watching that at the bar on Saturday. I think I said something in the Discord, but I was like, "Damn, that dude is getting." I mean, I think he might have went first to home off of someone else's double or something. I don't know. All I know is he got around the bases and put the Bearcats up. I think it was like 7-3 or 7-5 at the time or something. They didn't stand a chance throwing him out at the plate. It was pretty impressive.
Yeah, no, I mean, well, and they spoke to it a little bit that Cincinnati likes to be aggressive. I mean, that's part of what Bishop wanted to do this year, though.
Yeah,
he wanted to kind of go at you, and he stayed as much to start the season when they really started interviewing him about how, what he wanted to see from this team. And I mean, it's working. I mean, they have bought in. He's implemented well. Just think about how he goes, how it's going to go when he can point to that and start recruiting some more kids and some transfers, and build off of that. Obviously, we'll see how much he really wants to go in the portal. I haven't looked at his past. When putting together the list earlier this season, I didn't really look at how many transfers he had into Central, but Central also was a good team. So,
one thing I meant to bring up with those guys and I forgot, and I'm kind of pissed off at myself that I forgot. But I'll ask you, as far as Big 12 Coach of the Year goes, I think obviously Oklahoma's coach. If you win the league, you're probably in the conversation.
Yeah.
But if you're voted dead last and you finish top 5, maybe top 4 in the league, you're in that conversation as well. So what are your? I mean, it could come down to this weekend or whatever, but that would be quite impressive for a first year coach to win Conference Coach of the Year if he can pull it off. That's definitely like an underlying story to watch this weekend.
Yeah, I mean that definitely is a good case for it. I mean, it's a good case as dominating, dominating the conference. But Oklahoma State actually is funny enough. It's like 1 spot above them in RPI, hilariously enough. So I'm sure they're not happy about that. So it kind of depends on how everyone finishes. Because I mean they're chasing them a little bit. It depends on. It really depends on how the coach is. Do you know if that's up to the coaches to vote or if that's up to?
I do not know. That's a great question. That's I don't think it is. I think it's more like a conference award, not like a AP voter type of thing. Well,
yeah. I mean, I think that would depend if it's up to the coaches to vote. I think maybe he does get it. Usually, your most honest voters are going to be the players and coaches in any sport. Usually, and if Cincinnati kind of caught some guys off guard this year, that usually sticks. Or if they get in a little more trouble than expected. Yeah. So I mean, regardless on who's voting and how they vote. So as you mentioned, taking a team that was voted to be dead last into sitting at a nice healthy 5 currently is going to be a good argument regardless. And your first year and the first year in a conference, it's a good argument in any sport.
I agree. It'll be, excited to see what happens there for sure.
Yeah. I mean, it's not a bad team. We're just barely above 500 at 588. So, yeah, I mean, it's funny because basketball people, would love looking at baseball stats, at least for college. because they do the quad 1, quad 2, quad 3.
It's very similar.
Yeah. I think you have to. Like when you have such a big field, you have to. So there's a little something for everybody there. I mean, we are sitting at. I mean, we're pretty healthy when it comes to quad 4 wins. We've only lost 3 of those, but then we're kind of middling with quad 2 and 3, so 8 and 5 and respectively on both of those. But then you get into quad 1 games, and we're 4 and 8, which tracks. Like I said, when we went up to against an actual ranked team this year, we got destroyed. Granted, that's the beginning of the season, but it that's gonna set the tone regardless. There's always a little bit some truth to that, Jacksonville State was a really good team. I don't know where they're ranked currently at this point. See, now I'm curious because Jackson State.
Yeah,
they are. Although they've dropped hard, actually. Whew. That's even more. Yeah, they're 197 at this point, so they've had a rough outing. First game jitters, I think. First series jitters. Yeah,
allergies were kicking my butt.
I think that's going to be we're going to look at going forward into next season is how we start taking those occasional ranked opponents and looking against them. So,
I mean, Oklahoma's ranked 12th right now.
Mm-hmm.
Just we haven't brought that up yet. That's a big deal. And what I brought up the Oklahoma away record. The Bearcats are 17-6 at home. That's pretty damn impressive. So something's got to give this weekend. I'll be excited to follow along.
Well, it's going to be one of those unstoppable force meets and movable object kind of situations because they play really, really well away, but we play pretty good at home. So
I will say right now, if you are trying to watch the baseball Bearcats on Thursday at 5:00, or if you are trying to watch them on Friday and you're not going to be able to make it for whatever reason, they play at 5:00 on Friday as well. Let's see what they play on Saturday. Saturday, of course, it didn't take me to where I wanted to go on Saturday. But Thursday and Friday, at least, if you're trying to watch the Bearcats take on Oklahoma and can't make it to the stadium, I will have the game on at the Deadhead liquor store, serving up beers as well. Saturday at 1:00, that's before we open. But Thursday and Friday, come see me. Let's watch some Bearcats baseball.
I'm gonna try to either make the Thursday or Friday game. Personally, one of the last UC sporting events I can see before I head out of town. So,
yes, you gotta get something in there. I think we have a mutual friend, Darin. I don't know if I've asked you about this gentleman yet, but do you know Bob Rote?
Yeah.
Bob Rote, big fan of yours, big fan of FC Cincinnati. Big Bearcats fan. Shout out to Bob for always coming up to the Deadhead liquor store, having a Cincy light and talking either baseball, football, talking UC sports in general. I know he's a man that lives life on the road.
Legitimately,
whenever he's back in town, he always stops in and has a Cincy light and talks Bearcats with me. So shout out to Bob. And he's like, how do you know Darin? And I'm like, well, he's like, yeah, I know him from back in the FC days doing this and that. I was like, that's how a lot of people know Darin, I think.
Yeah, no, I mean, Bob's good people.
100%.
Yeah, congratulations. I think their son just graduates, and congrats. Him and his son used to come around a lot, So
son played baseball.
Yeah,
he played baseball, I think, back in the day as well. So big baseball guy, loves Beischel and the new approach to the game for the Bearcats. So, hell yeah, good talking with Bob when we see him.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, tell him to say hi. Definitely see a lot more than I do. Yeah,
I know he watches or listens to the show, so
awesome.
He will be pumped to hear from you, Darin.
Yeah, awesome. Yeah, hi Bob. Again, congratulations on getting getting one through college there. So, you know,
Yeah, good stuff. We missed last week, Darin, but we will be back next week, no matter what. I think. Hope so. We have stuff planned. In June, which is just a couple weeks away, we will start our restart the Big 12 road trip series. We got 4 new teams to get acquainted with. We got some of those scheduled already, and we will certainly have some fun guests on in between then and now as well. So good baseball stuff here. Go Bearcats. I'm excited to see if we can't take this home this weekend.
Yes, sir. I'm looking forward to it. Great weather, like you said. Nothing to really compete. Saturday is an FCC game at home, I think. But
okay.
Yeah,
1 o'clock baseball game, probably later.
You can double dip. You can double dip.
Hell yeah.
Yeah. You can double dip. I mean, Clifton's just a short drive down from over the Rhine. So
love it. All right, Darin. Good stuff as always. Appreciate you, good sir. And cheers and go Bearcats.
Cheers. Go Bearcats.
I'll see you.
See ya.